Well, a very good evening on what day is it, Andrew? It's the 2nd of April, 23, Sunday evening, and I've attended to my clocks all around the house. You might hear some ticks. It's 1740, 1739 actually. It's been a rather absent Sunday. I didn't go down to the graveside. It's the first day of the month. Sorry, the first Sunday of the month, but I probably popped down at Easter, so I didn't go down today. And the weather will be rather grey and unpredictable. It wasn't really for the hills either. I just decided, well, I had a very busy day yesterday. Actually, it's none of your business what I was doing. But I did, I spent some time up in the loft. I think that was me talking about step ladders the other evening ago. So I took the step ladders out. I sat upon them for a while and just decided, well, let's do something. So I was clearing some stuff from the loft, and unfortunately lots of my garments that I had stacked away in a suitcase. The mouse, which visits me during the winter months, had set up home. So my brother is not going to be very chuffed when he hears that his Morrison's jacket, his Morrison's Academy jacket, has been chewed to shreds. I should have showed you it. I've got it out in the garden shed. It's I might salvage the badge and send it to him. It's all that's left. I also lost well, I think I was talking about the House of Fraser not so long ago. I used to wear this 100% wool. It came right down to my shins. Very smart black jacket I used to wear, and it's also a victim of the mouse. The leather jacket was all right, but it's all going out to the bin. I mean, the mouse is all right. It's not showed face as much this winter. Previous winters, I used to set out some oatmeal for him in the kitchen, and he used to come and have a little nibble during the evening. I could see where he'd been in. And he didn't make any mess, and that was a kind of compromise that I'll leave him some oatmeal to dine upon during the night, and that'll stop him raking about. And then, I mean, I'm going back to 2012 when he first made appearance. I should have got the footage, but behind me, I was sitting over there, and he came in the lounge doorway, and he sat and he looked at me. I said, "Yes, I know you're here. I've heard you." But I mean, people get all panicky about mice. I don't mind the mouse in the house. They're only here for a few months, and they don't cause an awful lot of damage. Well, unfortunately, that one did. It set up. I don't know how it got into the suitcase, but anyway, that was the story from yesterday. I was very busy indoors, and my bedroom is spotless. It's absolutely gleaming, very tidy. And so I've been back and forth all day. I was going to take this camera and do some footage outdoors, perhaps on the Minnie Road, but I thought it's very grey today, and I thought there's not much to look at, so I just thought I'd sit by the fire before I have my dinner. And obviously I hate to admit, but I've been to B&M today. And I've also been to Aldi, 2 separate occasions. It's not like me, but I wanted to buy new clothes pegs, so I went to B&M and acquired some at a reasonable price, I think, depending how long they last. And they're quite good quality, I think. And then just before 5 o'clock, I thought I'd shoot into Aldi because I might go to the mountains tomorrow, and I wanted something to nibble upon when I was up high. and it was very, very low vibration. I'm sorry to say this, but in fact, I was approaching the store. I thought the first person I saw was, oh goodness me, who's this low vibrational staggering around the car park? And turns out to be one of my friends. I didn't recognise him. He wasn't drunk. He was just he just tends to walk like an ape. And anyway, I said hello and how are you doing? He says, I'm very fine, Andy. You look really well. I said, well, thank you very much for saying so. But so as I normally tell you, I was in the store without my basket, and I grabbed a few things. I didn't. I think I reached my maximum. I got 5 items because I couldn't trace my tin of tomatoes I bought recently. I couldn't find where they were. I searched everywhere in the kitchen, and I discovered it was sitting in the car underneath the passenger seat for some odd reason. So I now have 2 tins of tomatoes, and so these will come in very handy, I'm quite sure. But I was at the checkout, and there were 3 checkouts were running very steadily and quite busy, and it wasn't so much just low vibrational. There's a lot of energy vampires were in the store today, so you have to be very careful with that when you're shopping as well. There's people, zip up close and try and steal your energy. And so I was, I thought to myself, well, she just spoke to Andrew because she was obviously wanting to speak. She kept on quivering her lips as if she was going to say something. And I think she felt that I was going to say something, but I didn't know. Well, I didn't want to look at a selection of veg that was on the conveyor belt, but I was going to say, do you shop here often? And I thought that sounds a bit stupid, and I thought, well, I'm not going to talk about the weather, am I? I was going to say, can I just ask, are you middle class? And I wished I had up just to see if what the response would have been. She might have tittered. That she looked middle class. She looked bohemian in some respect, almost Transylvanian, I think. And it kind of moves on to the thing about, I was considering about the middle classes, how they, I don't know if it's a show with them or, it's a kind of a pity party that they're now involved in, but they seem to be visiting the likes of B&M and stores like Aldi much more often. I mean, I'm quite sure they're, like myself, they're probably still shopping from Fulton and Mason. I mean, I've got my order in, it should be here for Wednesday. And I have to say, I mean, I've mentioned before about the price increases of up to 35% on one visit to B&M. But with Fulton Mason, I noticed the spring collection hamper is still priced at £140, which, no, it's £110, the same price as it was last year. And they have the Grosvenor special hamper. Well, it's still £140, and that was exactly the same as it was last April. So they haven't increased the prices. In fact, some of the prices have come down. And so it does pay to maybe look at Fulton and Mason just to see what they've got. We didn't have any Stilton, which is a bit of a nuisance, but I opted for some waxed cheddar, and well, I'll maybe talk about that some other time. I think I'll maybe review my order with Fulton and Mason when it comes on Wednesday. How about that? But yeah, so the thing I was talking about there was that the middle classes, they seem to, pull into Aldi and stuff like that with the, the 4x4 hybrids and stroll across the car park and into the store and grab a trolley and rush around, but some mosey around. But anyway, I don't want to talk about shopping. I want to talk about the middle classes, because the one that comes to mind is I don't know if they kid on business with the middle classes or they are genuinely struggling like the rest of us. Well, I think to myself, even if, you don't find many upper middle classes of, the ladies. They tend to be, home most of the time, looking after the horses or something, or, listening to Women's Hour and the likes, browsing through the Good Housekeeping magazine and making very special pots of casserole for the husband, the children returning in the evening from work and school, that type of thing. So they don't actually work. And so let's just, for instance, think that, say the upper middle class or the middle class gentleman, maybe he's a professor or something like this, just for example. Well, even if they're on about £120,000 a year, so, it's not excessive for professionals to be earning that sort of money in this day and age, but they do pay higher taxes. So, immediately their income's completely halved, almost by 45%, isn't it? And so they've lost all that in taxation immediately. And of course, they will be paying a lot more in national insurance contributions as a result of their high earnings. But not only that, they won't have any exemptions on council tax at all, so they have to pay the full whack. And knowing these individuals, they probably live in a Victorian, a stone-built Victorian detached property with about 4 bedrooms or something, maybe more. So therefore they're talking high band council tax. But even with the hot houses, the very cosy houses, they're going to be paying top whack for their fuel bills as well, without any returns from the government, because they're in such a high wage bracket. And even if they've got Thomas and Gillian at school, for example, it'd probably be a fee-paying school. And it may not be Winchester or Harrow or something like that, but there'll certainly be a fee-paying school for the kiddies, and all the extra curriculum stuff like violin playing or, squash rackets or something like that. They all have to be paid for, skiing trips with the school, all this sort of stuff. So, and then they've probably got Bupa. They've probably signed up with Bupa or some other private medical health care. So that's more money. And then they've got, they've got the fantastic motors. They've probably got 2 motors in the household. They've got X5 BMW or something like that, or an X3. I don't know. I'm not really a car fanatic, but certainly it'd be a big Audi or something. It'd be a 4x4 or something of that nature. It'd be it'd definitely be a rather spiffing looking motor the woman drives, and I'm quite sure the gentlemen would drive rather attractive cars as well. I'm quite sure they would. So this has all got to be paid for, They're going to be paying higher road tax and, quite high bills for the usage on either diesel or petrol or something, you see. And then, of course, they've got, they can't skip friends in the friend zone. You can't skip their birthdays or their, Christmas or something like that. They've got to fork out high amounts for these presents annually, and they can't buy their friends something trivial. There's something they got in B&M for a couple of quid or something. They've got to buy something very special and costly, so that's another blow to their income, you know. And if they are buying anything from Fortnum Mason, I'm quite sure they'll be buying, you know, Dom Perignon champagne at least twice or three times a year, and you know, all the different wines that they probably have, Merlots and Chiantis and stuff like that, and you know, it'll be the finest of wines that they have for the dinner parties at home, and canapes and, you know, all the likes. So all this has got to be taken into account, and they're going to be decorating every year probably, and not just indoors but outdoors. And they've probably got a gardener, and they've probably got a window cleaner, and they've probably got, you know, lots of things happening, and you know, buying gazebos from the garden or something. You know, there's always something happening with the middle class, upper middle class at least. You know, so there's all this. So this income of the professors slowly dwindling down on an annual basis, despite the property maybe increasing in value. But that's all about, you know, they can't live off the increase in property. It's not feasible. So and then they're going to go and take holidays. So you know, they want the children to be able to boast about their vacations overseas and stuff, whether it be skiing or whether it be sunshine holidays. You know, and there won't be a little cheap package tour. It'll be very, very expensive holidays and very expensive locations, you know, around the world, you know. So it's just extraordinary how they can manage to keep their heads above water, but they seem to do so. And it's a bit miraculous in many. I mean, even the dental, they're always at the dentist. You ever notice the middle classes are always at the dentist? They seem to be there every time you go to the dentist. It's always the middle classes, the same middle classes are always sitting there. So they must have a huge dental bill that they've got to pay every year, unless that's covered by the private healthcare. I don't know. But it's extraordinary just how much money they outlay on an annual basis. It really is. And I'm just rather, you know, curious as to how they manage to keep the whole thing going. I mean, there is that possibility that it's all you know, a facade, and they're probably hundreds of thousands of pounds in debt, but you know, the middle classes, or at least the upper middle classes, never seem to getting any problems with into debt management companies, or you know, the bank wanting to close. There always seems to be a loophole for these people for some strange reason. There's always a bailout for them of some sort. So I'm not entirely sure how they manage it. I think it's a big secret, and I think they discuss it at dinner parties or something. I'm quite sure they do. I mean, the aristocracy, they're different completely. They don't have any money at all. They've got millions and millions and millions on paper, assets, but they don't have any money. They don't want any money, the aristocracy. They quite like having a battered old motor car, and they quite like wearing old battered shoes, and even a hat, you know. And if they have any livestock on the property, I mean, it's all treated as an asset, isn't it? They don't. I mean, the only people that seem to spend are actually the proletariats and the working classes, isn't it? They just keep spending. They can't hold a penny in the purse. They've always got to spend it. It's quite amazing, actually. Really, it is. But so I'm not having a dig at the middle classes, but I do wish I'd said to that lady today. I was just, you know, excuse me, but may I just ask very politely, but are you middle class? And she said, yes, I am. Well spotted. And she said, I was actually going to ask you if you're aristocracy. And I was going to say, well, very good try. I have got aristocracy in the bloodline, but I'm afraid I don't have any. I'm not, you know, in castle or or a mansion, I'm afraid. I used to have a large mansion house which surrounded my but it's no longer. It's 6 o'clock, Andrew. You've been talking for 20 minutes. That's enough.